I think so anyway. I'm Kevin from Acclaimed Heating, Cooling, and Furnace Cleaning. I hope you guys have had a great summer. We've been on hiatus for a couple of weeks now and super happy to be back. Unfortunately, it's cold and we're dealing with heating issues. I'm really excited today because I'm with my friend Rob from Robart Electrical Services, and you're not a normal electrician, and by that I don't mean you're crazy. Well, you're a little bit off. But he's a master electrician because you've just got an infinite amount of knowledge that you love to share, and it shows every time you guys do work with us and for clients that we recommend. And we're so happy and proud to have you as our affiliate with the Acclaimed Homeowners Club. Just absolutely thrilled. Now, we usually have a Dear Kevin letter where I'm answering the most exciting questions of the week as relate to heat and air conditioning and clean air.
Yes.
Today, we're shaking it up, and I'm going to ask you a Dear Rob question.
Wonderful.
And so people get some great insight, I'm sure. So this letter is written by somebody signed Mom in Need of a Solution.
Yes.
One of 100 solutions a day any mom needs, but here goes. Last week we had accidentally tripped the breaker for our kitchen counter plug, and now we can't get it to stay back on. This is becoming a huge frustration in our home as we frequently have both the coffee pot and toaster on this corner of the island kitchen. Can you help us? Back to school's right around the corner, and I don't need another thing creating some confusion.
Nice. That's a typical problem. I answer all the calls that come into Robart Electric, and we do get a lot of calls like this from distressed parents, mothers mostly, when it comes to items like this. I'd like to describe this little problem and maybe give you some insight. When you have a kitchen counter, she said that she had a toaster and a coffee pot plugged into the same receptacle. That on its own, those two items, will overload a circuit and pop the breaker. Now, this is a two-part scenario sort of thing. In the early 70s up to the 90s, they used to put in what's called split duplex receptacles. Now, what a split duplex receptacle is, Kevin, is when you get a plug-in on the wall, the top is on a different breaker than the bottom one. So in that sort of scenario, you can actually plug in a coffee pot on top and a toaster on the bottom.
Okay.
But now that's half the scenario. She said they couldn't reset the breaker. So this is a little thing I'm going to tell you about that a lot of people don't know, and I get lots of calls on this. When a breaker trips, it usually goes to the center position instead of the off position. And what you've got to do is, if you feel you've tripped the breaker, go down to your electrical panel, reach up and grab the handles of each breaker and give it a little shake. If it feels solid, then you know it's okay. But you will find a loose one, and that is the one that's tripped. Now here is the trick to this whole thing. When you find a tripped breaker, you've got to take the handle and push it to the off side until it clicks. That is resetting the breaker.
Okay.
Until it is reset, then you take it and push it to the on. I've had phone calls from people, Kev, and they say, we keep pushing it to the on and it's not resetting. Well, no, you've got to reset it to the off side first and then go to the on. That's probably half of the problem.
Great. Now, if a circuit is overloaded, which means that you have too many things plugged into the same thing, that's when the breaker trips. Is that
Yes,
right?
that's correct,
Okay.
yeah.
And so if that breaker didn't trip and it has too much stuff going on, that's when wiring overheats, and that's what is the potential cause of a fire. Is that right?
Exactly.
Now, if somebody has a situation where they do need more counter plugs put in, or they need to do that because some people, there is no fix.
Yes.
What would the typical cost be of Robart coming in and fixing that to make sure that they can run 2 or 3 things at the same time? What would that be?
Okay, we get a lot of calls from people who say that they've got an area of their kitchen that they love to do all their cooking in. That's where their appliances are and so forth. And you're absolutely right, Kevin. There's a lot of times where they need more power. So what we actually do is we go in and we've got to bring power from the electrical panel over up into the kitchen wall. Now, hopefully the best case scenario is that the ceiling of the area underneath the kitchen is open, where you can see the wooden floor joists and so forth. So what we've got to do is come from the panel and go up and bring more power in. Right. Now, you asked the question about costs. Usually something like that to bring in more power with everything included is around $300 to $400.
Okay. Now we we deal with the same sort of situations with our pipes when we're having to install a new furnace. We often have to install pipes that as well rely on the ceiling being unfinished
Yes.
downstairs. So, that cost would be if it's unfinished.
Yes.
Something like that you'd be able to do, but perhaps they'd have to work with another contractor to make that access available, perhaps some holes and things like that. So it can still be done, but there are certain things you might have to do in addition to that.
Yes, yes. And Robart Electric, we've taken pride in over the years being able to offer assistance by coming out and talking to the clients, offering free quotations on getting this stuff done.
Right.
But what we like to do, Kev, is we like to go out and empower the clients so that they understand exactly what's going on and why we're doing what we're doing.
Okay.
Because it's not acceptable to us to have a client
Right.
stand there blindly like a deer in the headlights, hoping that we know what we're doing. I want them to understand and realize why everything is being done.
Right. So what somebody initially thinks is rocket science and is really complicated, you're able to come in and basically give them a kindergarten education,
That's right.
take the mystery away, and all of a sudden, now that they understand it, they can kind of come up with the solutions that they need.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
okay.
that's why we're there, to help them understand the different solutions and the different alternatives. But they won't make those decisions until they understand.
Right.
This is something that we do.
That totally makes sense. All right, fantastic. Well, again, we're really, really proud to be affiliated with you as part of our Acclaimed Homeowners Club. That's it for today. Look forward to seeing everybody next Friday at 2 o'clock again. And this was take 2. We're late today because we took a take 1, and all we saw was a nice selfie of ourselves.
But it was a nice selfie.
Oh, it's a great
It was gorgeous.
selfie. It's a great selfie.
My hat was on crooked, but I straightened that out.
So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We'll see you next time. Stay safe.
Hi, guys.